Hey everybody, welcome back to the farm. We are on Riverbend Springs, and today we are doing a farm build. And we do got a few pieces of equipment as we're going to be kind of moving them in as we build, just to liven it up a bit. Let me take a look here. We are at Field 65 and Field 66 on Riverbend Springs, as I'll zoom out a little bit. So yeah, we are on the far right. We did take this farm that's a little bit set up on a hill. And as you can see, we did delete everything, so we are ready to build. Again, I do got some conveyors down there, so yeah, we got a few things that we are going to bring in, kind of bring this farm to life, but let's get the building. So we are going to be building a hog farm. Head into the construction here, and the first thing we're going to be looking for is going to be for the pigs, so let's see if we can find that. And we are going to be using this one right here. It's the Horman, the pigsty. And it holds a decent amount of pigs. It says 80, but I think, yeah, we are going to change that. We are going to customize this. So let's go ahead, find a decent color for it. Yeah, Case IH Red, that looks pretty good. And yeah, we're going to have to get this positioned down here just about right. Let's see if we can find a spot here. And that looks pretty decent. Drop it in. So yeah, we got that down. We are going to have a lot of editing here. We are going to make a fenceless pasture out here. And a couple other things. So let's get started on that, because that could be a little bit of a process here. I'm going to have to find that again. This is the first time I'm doing a build live, so you might have to hang with me a little bit. Hopefully we can find the correct feeding one for the pigs. So yeah, pig pasture fenceless mod, I believe this is the one. So we are going to set this over here. We're going to make a decent sized pasture for the pigs. I think we're going to have it run right over to this area pretty much, somewhere in here. Let's see if we can get that placed right there. All right. Usually the tricky thing with this is what side does it... Okay, yeah, so it wants to go this way. Let's start placing this here, as we are going to be making a road around this, so we're kind of going to have to keep that in mind as we go. Yeah, we're just going to leave a little bit of room here, because we are going to be putting a fence around this. So we do got some work to do with this here. Make it realistic. I think if we do that, we can possibly bring it back that they will roam in here, I think. If we can figure this part out. Might actually have to go back on that one here. Delete the last segment. Yeah, so we're just going to keep going this way. That could be a problem going up in there. And yeah, we're just creating this with the idea. Oh, I guess it finished it for me. Hopefully that works out. Yeah, so we're just creating that with the idea that we are going to be putting a pasture down there. And for some reason, yeah, I didn't plant the pasture, so we're going to have to go in there and we're going to have to do that texture ourselves. Might actually start with that right now. Let's see here. Just want to kind of outline the area of where this fenceless pasture mod is, so we know what we're working with. So yeah, we're going to use this to add on, because this pigsty here does not have any kind of pasture to it, so we're going to give it a little bit more depth here, and yeah, give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more character. Looks pretty good there, yeah. So I think we want to go in, start adding the fence, get a kind of an idea where we're going to be with the fence. We are going to have to add a couple openings, because this is going to be I believe that's the right fence. Let's see here. Let's go back up through. Yeah, I think that's the fence we're going to use. We are going to have to leave a few openings because we are going to be driving in here. We're actually going to be augering our food into them silos right there. So that is why I do have these augers already on the farm, because we want to get in there and kind of show you that, guys, as we do it. And let's start with the fence here. To back out of that one, so that seems to be not wanting to line up too good. It's a little jittery here. That should be fine. I don't think a pig's going to get through there. So yeah, we'll add a little bit there. Kind of straighten it up a little bit here. Because we are going to be feeding them right out of there, so I think we're actually too close to that fenceless pasture mod. Here we go. Maybe I'll put that on the outside. That should work just the same, I guess. And yeah, so we are going to leave a gate here because we are going to be driving through. As I said, we're going to be driving through there. Get that put down. And we'll continue this here. So yeah, we're going to at least want 2 gates. That's going to be one of them. And the other one's going to end up being on the other side there. Probably over where the troughs are. Because we are going to need to actually feed them in that part. So yeah, there's going to be 2 different feeding areas. One is going to be for the actual pen. And then the other will be for the fenceless pasture mod. So you kind of just got to use your imagination there and figure it's all the same thing. Kind of run this across there. Give it a little bit of space because, yeah, I feel like that you can't be too close to the actual pasture there or it will come up with an error. Alright, now we're going to need another gate here. I think actually we're going to come across here first. Find the right section of the fencing. All right. Yeah, I think if we just add a little section like that, it should be all right. If I can get that in place. And yeah, we want to get the big fence there, big open area. So far, so good. Don't want to run into any kind of collisions here with that. And hopefully that will mount up to this here pretty decent. Looks like it's going to be pretty close. Should be good there. Alright, so we do got the fence. We do got the pasture. So we do got the layout of that. That is looking pretty good so far. Let's head back out here. So yeah, we're going to be able to come right in here. Open that up, and we are going to get them augers in here in a minute. We're going to do a little bit more building in here. I think it's time to lay down some ground textures. What am I looking for? Alright, yeah. Let's go back to the mud. Leave a little bit of areas in here because we are going to throw some grass down in here, kind of break that texture up a little bit. Just had a technical difficulty there. Had to turn off Alexa decided just to turn on out of nowhere. Alright, let's see what we got here. Yeah, we kind of want to throw down this. We want to get rid of the concrete because they are going to be in here in the mud. So yeah, we don't want to let too much of that. But a little bit of grass kind of. again, to break up that texture. Let a little bit of that gravel in here. That doesn't look too bad either. Alright, so yeah, that looks pretty decent. Let's get some more. Let's find this grass texture. So yeah, let's lay out the areas. I always like to cover up the Fencel's Pasture mod parts with a little bit of grass. And yeah, always run it under the fence too. Throw a little bit there. So yeah, we are going to actually line this fence with this texture. Let's just go ahead and do that to start out, because I am going to run grass right under that. So let's just go around, make a line here. Show you guys how I kind of just go about doing this. Nothing really out of the ordinary, but if you were interested in seeing this. And then I'll let a little bit there, because that is where the gate's going to open. So that grass would mostly be kind of run down from the tractors coming in and out. Alright, now let's start filling in, because we are going to put grass over that to kind of cover them so they don't look random, kind of laying out there in the middle. And then we are going to go back through and we're going to add a little bit of an edge here. Kind of in the corner. Sometimes I like to bring it out there a little bit, just to give everything a little bit more of a look instead of just that kind of repetitive mud texture. So throw that down. Throw it down there too. Looks a little out of place. Kind of run it up the side there too. The pigs really wouldn't be laying right up against the building, so there would maybe be some grass left over there. A little bit of an area here. We might put a tree down or something. Yeah, it's the kind of the way I like to dress these pastures up a little bit. Throw some down here, some random spots. Like I said, it is mostly mud, but at the same time, we do want to break this up just a little bit, so that is kind of why I'm doing that. Just so them textures ain't overly repetitive. Wouldn't be too much there, because they are going to put the feed bag on there. That is the trough for the pigs. And let's get in here. Actually, we're going to have to, let me get another, just to kind of break this up here, because we are going to be putting a road here. I'm just going to clean this up. We're probably going to come back in with a texture road, but just right now, just for a peace of mind, I'm going to throw down some gravel to get the crops out of there. It's bothering me a little bit, so just kind of lay out where the road is going to be here eventually. It's going to come up through here. Don't want to cut too much in. We do want to preserve these fields. We are going to have these fields surrounding the farm, so don't want to get too crazy with that. But yeah, there will be a road running up around here, so let's get this all. We are going to do gravel in this area. Let's get that down a while. A lot of painting, a lot of texturing. But we do got a lot of building to do. We are going to be throwing up a barn. We do got a machinery shed that's going to go up top. And we are going to be putting silos up. We are also going to be looking at putting up a hay storage. We are going to be looking to make a custom one there with the Anywhere storage mod. Just kind of get the outside of this building cleaned up just a little bit here. Don't think that texture will run in there, so we'll just hit that. And so far, yeah, there is the pig barn so far. So yeah, we got a lot of work to do. Hang in there. We are going to be doing some more texturing here as we go. Get down some gravel. Get down a gravel road here. And yeah, this road is going to come back around, but we are going to leave... Let's cut this out here. We are going to leave a little bit of a area in between the fence there. guys do have any suggestions to this map as you see things unfold, I'm definitely open to it. As we get there, yeah, we're going to use the gravel texture there, and then I'm going to throw the gravel texture down here, but we are going to go back to the dirt to kind of make that area there. We're just hitting this to kind of... Alright, I think that's good in that area now. We will come back to that. Gonna have to clean that up then. Maybe widen this a little bit, because this is going to be for the equipment and stuff to come around. Again, I think we're going to use a textured road for that, so yeah, just open it up there. Finish this a little bit. Gotta get the textures down. Things start shaping up a little bit. Alright, yeah, I did get carried away there with the gravel. Let's get back to the grass in the pasture. So this is the way I like to do it. I like to throw that texture down, and then I'll come through and pretty much just fill in, break up the pasture a little bit. I think on the outside, actually, we're going to have to go back. Let's pull this out once again here. Cover up that dirt texture there on the outside. Yeah, that would be as if pretty much around the fence you're not going to be able to cut the grass there, so we are going to have the grass growing up along the fence. Alright, looks pretty good. Get back to the grass here. Again, I do like filling in over where I did put the fenceless pasture mod, so them little icons there, I guess if you would. That is what I'm talking about, them little patches of grass. That is the outline for the fenceless pasture mod, so that is what we're doing with this pigsty. We're turning this in to a little bit more than it normally would be, giving it just a little bit more character here. Because yes, this one here does not allow you, as I said earlier, it does not allow you, if you guys are familiar with this pigsty, it doesn't have any kind of pasture attached to it, so throw a little bit of grass down there. Man, it's a little too much in that area. Kind of just gotta throw it down, see where it looks good. If it's a little too much, go back through and you can always edit that out. You don't got to be too concerned with it being perfect, because that's just the way things are in real life. You have stuff growing at random spots and everything like that. So yeah, don't get too crazy with it. I kind of just look at it and give it a look and throw it down there and see what happens. Zoom back a little bit, give you guys a perspective of where we are. It's a little bit easier for me, though, to be working in close, I'll be honest with you. So probably a lot of it, I'll be in a little bit closer like this. Try to stay back a little bit. Probably definitely help with you guys viewing it. We are going to throw some pigs in there to kind of bring this atmosphere to life here in a little bit. Once we get it all laid out. Yeah, probably mostly in a real kind of like an area like this where pigs are. There really ain't going to be too much grass and stuff, but as far as the game goes, I do think it looks good. That's kind of why I do that. I just think it, as I said a few times, it just adds to it, gives a little bit more texture, breaks things up that it doesn't all look the same. So yeah, maybe not totally realistic, but at the same time, I think in the game, some things in the game just look better. I think when you do them like that, it might not be totally realistic, but I do think when you're doing the landscaping, I kind of think going over the top sometimes actually is better in game. So we will be hopping out here and taking a look down in first person. Just want to get this down. This is a process with the area for the pigs, just getting this laid out. I am by no means a professional at this, just having a little bit of fun here. I'm definitely appreciate you guys joining me on this live stream, as this is the first time, as I said earlier, this is the first time I'm doing a build on a live stream. I have posted a few builds. Usually after the fact, what I'll do is I kind of build the farm and then I'll just do a tour of it. So I really never show a video of me actually building the farm. So just a different perspective here to kind of see how I do it. Yeah, that's looking pretty decent. I think what we're going to need in there now is a few bushes. These bushes right here, they are in plants. The 25 banger right there, I go absolutely crazy with these things. Again, I just think they really fill in things. And really just bring the map to life. I know it kind of looks, as I'm doing it, it might just look like I'm really going wild with it. And maybe I am. I guess it's everybody's preference, what they may like. But I just think these have a way of, I don't know. It's, again, I almost use them in a way as a texture. It kind of breaks up everything. And yeah, I don't know. Can't have too many bushes. That's usually on all my builds. I probably use hundreds of these, so I don't know. We're gonna make them blend in. It might look a little ridiculous starting out. I did forget some grass back there. Let's get this here before I forget this here. Then we're gonna go back to adding a few trees to the pasture. Yeah, the pigs do want a little shade once in a while. So that is the main pasture, and you look at it in construction, it doesn't look quite as good as when you go into this. I just think first person in this game, that looks pretty decent to start out. So jump up on the fence here, give a little look around, and yeah, we're gonna throw down a few more bushes. I'm gonna show you another bush I actually like the couple with that, and it's actually in trees. So if you go into trees and you go down, I believe it is this. Is it cherry tree? It might be. Yeah, you can actually reduce that down to where it looks like a bush. I never knew that was a cherry tree. Okay. So I am putting cherry trees all over my farm. Might look ridiculous, but this in here looks a little bit more raggedy. I think I like to usually put it kind of in a group or a cluster of these other smaller bushes. And yeah, you can put stuff just growing through the fence there. Don't want to overdo it. We'll throw one more out there. I do overdo it with these, though, don't I? Yeah, we'll let that go. And we'll head back in. And yeah, they're cherry trees. I never knew that. Yeah, they actually look a little bit bigger than... Wait a second. What is that? I wonder if I'm using the wrong tree here. Huh. I don't remember them being that big. I might have found the wrong one. I think that is the one I normally use. Just in-game. Wow. Never took notice to how big they are. But yeah. Guess that's alright, having some bushes and having a little bit of vegetation around the farm. Let's go back into construction here. So yeah, so far we do got the pig farm. We got the pig sty with the fenceless pasture mod. So it's going to add something here. Let's throw... I do want to put a couple trees in here. Don't want to go too crazy with it. That looks like it might be okay there. A tree there. Where it is... Yeah, these bushes always come in handy. I love the look of these. That is absolutely huge. We'll put that there. And then this in here is probably my favorite one. I don't know what it is about that, but it's really good for like putting it in corners and stuff. And yeah, we'll put it right there. I think we're going to throw one more tree if we can find one we like. That's a cherry tree. Getting lost in the menu here. Let's see. Yeah, so that there is different stages, kind of. Yeah, we don't want to put that one there. That tree is huge. I really do like these trees, but I feel like we need one more tree on this side of... Let's see. Yeah, maybe a smaller tree like that. Put it actually on the outside. Maybe put that on the inside. That might be enough. That looks pretty good there. Alright, let's go over here. Let's get one of these augers in. I'm going to show you guys how I use that. Oh yeah, take a look at that. That is the new 50 series that just hit Mod Hub. I love everything about that tractor. So let's get this let's pull this in here and get this auger in place. If we can do it without too much difficulty. But yeah, you can actually use these augers and to auger in food for the pigs, so I'm gonna set it up. See if I can back this up. I don't know what I'm hitting there. Alright, let's get that set up a little bit better, that it ain't clipping through the silo. Alright, zoom in on that and fix it. Probably have to pull out a little bit more. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good. That is a pretty cool feature. So yeah, we will be feeding the pigs inside like that. I think we can unhitch that. How's that still look now that it... Yeah, it's not clipping through the top, I don't think. Pretty close. Yeah, this 50 Series International is awesome looking. And we'll get the Massey here. Get the other one in place. Might as well have both of them in there so you ain't constantly moving back and forth when you are feeding the pigs. So you see where we're at there. Pull it forward just a little bit. Yeah, you gotta take into account that that is gonna fall down a little bit. Yeah. Well, it ain't too bad there, I guess. You get the look of it. You kind of guys get the idea what I'm trying to do there. Let's pull this tractor out of the way. Alright, so let's go take a look at this here really quick. And yeah, I really do like the look of that. This in here seems to... We're going to have to fix this here. This is sitting a little awkward. Yeah. That's better there. That was... And things do tend to bother me. That is shut down, so I think the other one's probably lined up. We're going to fix that too. I apologize. I cannot let things go like that. That really bothers me if they ain't lined up perfectly. Alright, yeah, so we got them in there, and that is a look pretty much at how we're going to do that. Let's close this up. And let's head over here quick and add some pigs to this area here, kind of bring it to life. As this is the gate over here, you would be backing in to fill this part. Let's see at this. Alright, what kind? Let's get a few of each here. And there they are. So yeah, they're just going to roam around out here in the pasture. Let's go buy some for the pen. So what you'd have to do with this is, the way I do it is, you're just going to have to use your imagination that the pigs that we are going to be putting inside here right now, I would actually leave this gate open at all times to give the effect that the pigs that you are putting inside here would be able to roam out on their own, and they all are pretty much the same. So again, yeah, you do have to use your imagination a little bit, but... So yeah, you got the little guys in there, and like I said, you just... I'm going to leave these gates open, so you just assume that Let that gate open too, might as well. Yeah, you just figure that they're all walking in and out here and kind of all together in this, and that is the way I have that set up. Let's go back into construction. So yeah, now we do got pigs everywhere. Slowly taking shape here. Because we do got slurry capabilities, let's throw down some slurry right beside this. So these are used to store temporarily. Let's go into the silo extension. And we're going to put this actually right here. We're going to put this really close. Let's line that up once. We'll make that the hose end is pointed towards the opening here. So let's go look at that and make sure that is level. I think this area is level here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Alright, so let's go back into construction, and while we're here with the slurry pit, what I like to do with the slurry pit is we'll go into decorations, and I'll go down here. Hopefully we can find it. We are live, so yeah. Alright, where is it? Okay, yeah, let's back off of that. I like to take these hoses and lay them here as if they're extensions that when you do pull the slurry tanker in, you're going to be using them. So we'll put some there. And right here at this slurry part 2, we're going to put them there. And then I'm going to go into the textures and the animal mud. We're going to put a little bit here as if some of that slurry has spilled over. So yeah, this is a messy area here. This is where you'd fill up the slurry tanks. Same with this here. Put some there like that's... Yeah, I think that's pretty decent there. Alright, and well, let's see here while we're at it. We are going to be adding lights. I think we're going to hold off on that right this minute. I think what we need to do next is we're going to have to build a road here. So we are going to have a road that's going to come down around, and it's going to come through here. Let's see what we got here. I think we're going to do it this way. I was thinking maybe just do it with the textures, but we might actually put a road down here. Let's see what we got. 45-degree angle, because we are going to be making a turn here. Keep it kind of close. Hopefully this goes smooth. These roads are usually a little tricky. We'll put that down there to start out. Get some straight ones here. Actually, you know what? We might need a 15. Make this curve just a little bit. Yeah. It'd be nice if you could shorten these textures, because they're always usually, I think when you go into customize, yeah, you can't really make them shorter. It'd be nice to have a 15-degree section that was only maybe half the size of that. But we're going to have to make do with what we got here. And we are going to be putting grass textures down then to really kind of cover over this. So let's see how we can... It's not going to look perfect. Alright. And then we're going to need a 10 banger here to... Actually, no, we can probably come out a little bit on an angle. That's not going to be too bad. Let's get back in there. 15-degree. Yeah, that's not bad. Just continue that curve right to there. So yeah, we're going to lay this road out, then we're going to come back through and we're going to texture it. We are going to have some... As you go in here really quick. Where are we? Yeah, we're going to be covering up some of the imperfections in the way this road is blended in, which actually, that doesn't look too bad. I actually kind of got lucky there, so let's get back into construction. And kind of just... It does look like it's going to be on a little bit of an angle coming down through there. Didn't really want that. Let's see if we can get a 15 curve to bring that back. I want to have a more... Yeah, that's... If you see what I mean, where that's actually running straight out towards this way when I kind of want it to go more this way. So what we might have to do here is just bring this up a little closer. That texture's not going to line up perfect. And kind of just go with it here. That's what I think we're going to have to do. Get a 45 here, I think. Hear the pigs in there carrying on right now. Alright, yeah. This is going to come together. I think actually it might actually work out. Let's get to the straight shot here. Yeah, we're just going to blend these roads as if this road actually runs right into that. We're going to kind of cover up the parts where it meshes together with the grass textures, so. And we're going to end this because this is going to blend right into the stone, so we'll bring that back just a little bit. Alright. Let's get back in here. So we're going to cover up the edges of this right now. With this is what we're going to do. We're going to add some more grass here. And we're just going to bring that right to the edge of that texture. And then when we do throw the grass down there, we will make it that it's not going to be a straight edge like that. So we are going to break it up a little bit to make it look more realistic. But for now, we're just going to have to fill in everything without deleting these bushes. That might be hard. That is one thing. When you're using the paint, it does tend to, we're just going to let that gravel there, I guess. It does tend to want to delete them bushes that you already put down. And we're going to do the same thing on this outside part. See there, them textures do glitch, and I'm not sure if that was... Might have been because the paint. I'm not sure. That does that sometimes. As you see, there's another gap. But then when you go into first person sometimes, it does tend to not show that. But we're going to fill them in with grass if they do end up staying there. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Alright, so we do got the... Let's go back into first person. See if some of them... See, yeah, that doesn't line up perfect, but when we get the grass texture down here, you're really not going to notice that. And now it looks like all them areas filled back in. You notice that it did disappear. Now here is one. So we might have to actually throw some more textures down there. Let me go back into the roads. Because that is a little extreme there. That's a pretty big... I think it's in others. I think that's a pretty big gap, actually. We don't quite want that, so let's go back in here. And it's hard to find out where it is, because you come back out here and it's gone again. Alright. Yeah, we're just gonna have to not worry about that right now. Let's get the grass down, fill in this road. Find out where that is. There it is. Yeah, we're just gonna... Don't want to overdo it. You want to let it that... The tracks... You can see the tracks. So you really gotta... You want to get close, but you don't want to overtake it too much. But you want to definitely give that illusion that the grass is not straight down through there. You want to make it kind of chopped up. Yeah, and there is an area where we're just going to have to mess with that a little bit to cover that up so you really can't tell that texture is doing whatever's going on there. This is really the time-consuming work, is just... And I think it's really the most important part when you're building a farm, if you really want to get immersed in it, is really just that attention to detail. Cut this back a little bit, but yeah, we are going to keep that field there. I always think the farms look pretty good when they're surrounded by fields there. I think it just gives them a little bit different of a look. So yeah, we do want to keep that. We're going to have to blend this in then. We'll come back to that. Fill that in. As I said, I don't really, like, I do pay attention to the detail, but I don't really take too much time on it. Sometimes you just got to hit the button and throw it down. If you overthink it too much, that's when it kind of starts to look not as realistic, I would say. I mean, things kind of just grow where they grow in real life, so yeah, I just kind of throw it down there and delete some of them crops, push that back just a little bit. They are pretty close. Would like a little bit more of a, not too much. Yeah, that's better there. Alright, let's get back into this. So yeah, we want to clean this corner up, narrow it off a little bit. And then, yeah, so that looks pretty good. So now let's throw down some, maybe go with the larger, kind of maybe bounce back and forth with that. But yeah, some of these you can see it's just a little wide. Doesn't need to be that wide. And just add it in like that. So we're going to have to come back to that part there. And yeah, again, this is where that texture seemed to fail. But yeah, you throw a little bit of grass in there, you really don't notice that. Again, we'll have to blend this end part, and we're going to do that right now, actually. So this is kind of the way I blend. Go in here, got to find the right texture. Might be dirt. Let's see here. So yeah, I like to blend this in a little bit. Kind of like that, just make it that the edges ain't, because originally it will put down a really fine edge there, so I just like to kind of do that, and then come in with this. Throw this around too. Kind of give a, because you don't want a defined edge on that. You really want it to be kind of, you can't really tell where that started blending in. That's kind of the way. Let me see here one more time. Go back to the paint. And maybe throw that in there. You kind of just got to mess around with it until you feel like it kind of works there. Yeah, I think that looks pretty decent. Put one more, a little bit more dirt here. Let's go up to this animal mud, because you'd kind of want that texture coming out of here as if the tractor is pulling in and out. So this area would kind of be messy. We are going to come back to that. We are going to put some tractor tire marks, I think, coming in and out of there. So let's see if we can clean this up here really quick. Let's go into the dirt. Kind of let some of that texture in there. Looks pretty decent. See if we can figure out how to do this. Just maybe put some spots to kind of break up that edge. Go back to that mud texture once. That ain't too bad there. Again, when you get into first person, these things will look a lot better when you're up close. So this is what we got so far. Step back here, and yeah, we'll take a look here. So we are starting here with the with the pigsty so far, that is what we got built. We got the augers in there. We got the fenceless pasture. So we got a lot of work here. I did spend some time on them roads, but yeah, we gotta make this blend in here too. Yeah, let's do this. Again, make it kind of as if that dirt, when them tractors are coming out of there, that they are pulling that dirt onto the gravel. Throw a little bit of grass in here, because we do want to cover up that edge again. Just kind of highlight it there. And let's see what we need here. Need some more grass. Not too bad there. Again, let's get back to that dirt mod. I think actually the animal mud would look better there. I think that's what we're going to have to go down and do at the other side. I was looking for that texture. I couldn't find it. Sometimes I like to highlight this texture with the animal mud on the outside. Or just throw it in the middle there too. Yeah. That looks a little bit better. Let's go back to the other side and do that. Maybe that is what I was using, animal mud over here. I'll highlight it with the dirt. That looks pretty decent. Let's see if we can find the tire tracks. Let's go back in here. These are things that kind of get lost in here sometimes, but I really think when you're actually in the game and you see this stuff, it really helps you, at least for me. Get the long tire tracks. Yeah, and we'll put this as if this is the mud from when the tractors are constantly backing in here to, with the wagon and stuff, to fill up them troughs. And again, I think we'll put one here. Looks pretty decent. Yeah. Let's go look at that really quick. That's just stuff I think really adds to the depth of the game when you're in there. And I know when I'm playing and I see stuff like that and I'm driving around, I'm like, yeah, it just kind of immerses you more in the game. So, again, we can open this. And we can go in there. We can auger into that silo. Close that up. And let's zoom back here. I think we're pretty good with this little area. Let's see what we want to do here. Is there anything out back? We're going to come back in. Actually, let's do it while we're here. Let's see where we're at. Containers. Yeah, we're going to need a... No, I don't think we're going to use the fuel container down there, are we? Now we'll save that. We'll put some stuff down there then, but we're gonna go. I think that area is pretty good. Let's start, because we are gonna tie all these roads together, so we are gonna have to do some more texturing with the stone, but we'll save that for later. Let's get up top. For some reason, I could not delete this. I don't think it's a collectible because it would not let me collect it either, so that is kind of just stuck there, but we are gonna cover that up right now. Gonna cover that up here. Actually, let's go in really quick. We're gonna texture this because we are gonna throw a building down. So let's just clean this up just a little bit. Not too much because we do want to use some of this for this barn that we are gonna put down. I actually think that might look good. Keep that stuff there. Just give us a nice area. So yeah, I don't know what that is. Again, if that's a collectible, let me know. But I could not collect it and I could not delete it. It just doesn't. And demolition, yeah, it does not let me grab a hold of that. So it's there. Let's go to the barns. We are gonna put a barn up top here. And I absolutely love this barn. If you guys have been watching some of my builds, I do use this one a lot. Let's see. How do we want to put this? See, we want to use that texture right there. That's kind of... Let's throw it down. We want to drive behind that too. A little bit of an area. Maybe we can go right about there. Where did that... That must have ended up... I wonder if that deleted that. Now there it is. It's at the worst possible spot. We're going to have to move this barn. Alright. Let's put this down again. Let's at least get it that it's through. Alright. Yeah. Alright, so we got that barn set there, and let's take a look at that from this perspective. That looks pretty cool up on the hill. We are going to have to make a road around that. We want to be able to go behind this. Let's put down some gravel. Again, we do want to leave some of this texture here. I think it looks pretty good. We're going to have to get some of it because we want to be able to get a tractor back through here, so... Don't want to take too much of that. I like that. We don't need a huge tractor to get behind here, but just kind of an illusion that you can pull behind here because it does have an opening there. So yeah, that should be enough to drive a small tractor through. We're going to let that bush there. I don't want to delete that. Okay. Yeah, I think we're pretty good there. So let's go to, let's see what texture we want to use. Where is... Alright, let's go to this texture here, actually. Throw down a little bit of something different here, just kind of in this area. We are going to cover some of this with grass. But I do like this texture on this barn. I just think it looks good right around there, kind of. Some old stonework, kind of. Left over from back in the day when this farm was originally built. Yeah, I think that might be... Okay, so then we're going to go in with the grass texture. Have some grass growing up in here. This is an old barn. It would still be in use. We'd play this as it's still in use, but maybe that the silo's not really functional anymore. Maybe just use the barn as an old hay barn. Put some grass here. Let that. As we're just gonna add some surroundings to this building. Again, as if it's used, but maybe not the most well-kept barn. Put a little bit here. Let's go back into the grass. Just filling in here. Getting this barn all set up. This is a really nice American looking barn. It's probably my favorite looking barn in the game. The only thing is with it, it's not really a barn that you could put to much use on, unfortunately. I mean, you can park some stuff in there, but it's kind of tough even if you used it anywhere storage. It just doesn't give you a whole lot of room inside the barn. So yeah, we got the outline there. Looks pretty good, I think. Let's go over here. Take a look at everything. There is the pigsty again. If you guys are just joining us, we did use the fenceless pasture mod here. That guy there, he's chasing us. Pretty quick, too. So yeah, there is the barn on top there. Kind of gives a nice look over top of the farm. And yeah, things are coming together here. Let's get back into the construction. Let's find a tree. Where are the trees at? I think if we're gonna put this tree down here, probably need a little grass under that. Let's go back here. Liven that up a little bit. Alright, yeah, tree looks pretty good there. Let's put a few bushes here. Like I said, this barn is still used, but maybe not the most upkept barn here. As I said, I do really love to use these bushes. So yeah, we are gonna use them there. Let's go back and find this tree again. This is the cherry tree I was using. When you use them as the small one, it does make some decent looking bushes. So let's throw that in there. And just for a little character there, growing up around the silo. And there is one more I want to use here. Must be in trees, yeah. Let's go into trees. This in here. This in here is like perfect for a corner like that. Maybe even over here too. Alright, now the one thing is when I do gotta go in here and fix this. This is one thing. I don't think I mentioned this earlier. Let's see. Let's get the grass again. But yeah, you guys probably already know this. When you use these bushes, it does tend to take some of the grass away. And I usually always go in and try to fill in close to them again, just so there ain't a lot of bare spots. So I probably didn't do that in here. So let's hit this really quick. Just a personal preference. I think that when the grass is really up close to them, it looks a lot better. So I don't like them bare spots around them bushes. I mean, some of you can let like that. It's perfectly fine, but I do like to fill in there. So that is what we're working with right now. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. We got a lot of work left to do. And don't want to erase anything we did. Yeah, this is a really tedious part of it for me. I always have to go back through and do this. There we did delete one, yeah, so that should be pretty good. So there is the view there. We're creating a pretty good environment here so far. Let's get back in and see where we're at. Let's get the paint. We are going to have to put a building down. Let's put the building down here. Let's get this machinery shed if I can find it. Somewhere in here. Where is it? Getting close now. I can feel it. There it is. Alright. This is a really nice machinery shed here we're going to use. This is one of my favorite ones, actually. Let's use the Hardy red, I think. We're going to try to keep everything matching. Wait a second here. Let's... maybe the Case IH red? Yeah, we'll do that. Put this on a little bit of an angle here. Let's see where we can figure this out here. Bring it over just a little bit. Alright, let's head up there really quick to make sure everything is level. I do like to look at it in first person. Let's go up here and see how this looks coming up this hill. That barn is really good. Like I said, that is probably the coolest looking American barn, I think. I'll take a quick run through here really quick. Take it all in. There's the barn we're going to be using there. And yeah, you can kind of overlook things here. You look down on the pigsty. Looks like a mountain over here. Looks like a quarry when it's not textured in. Okay, let's look at this really quick. I think this is probably on pretty flat ground to start with. I don't think you got to level anything out up here. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna actually, I just came up with another idea for this. We are gonna use this, but let's, where is the asphalt? There it is. Let's use that under here. So we're just gonna have to fill this in. And then have to do the rest of it from the outside. I'll have to fix that in the back. We are gonna use stone around here. I don't think that changes on the inside of this. It might. Let's check this out quick to see if this texture here can be changed inside of this part of the building. Yeah, we are going to actually have to do that. Alright. Get the asphalt down in here too. That should be pretty good there. Let's get back into the stone, clean this up here. And with this here, it doesn't hurt to let the stone actually spill in a little bit, because you got to think, when you're using the machinery, some of it actually would get carried in there. So I'm not too particular with that part of it. Kind of looks realistic, actually, to have a little bit of stone like that. And also in the front, because that would be the foundation of this. And again, yeah, have a little bit of stone carried in there. That wouldn't be really an issue. That would be pretty realistic. So we're gonna do that. Just clean up this road here, as again, we are using the stone texture for this, so we do want to keep that edge, so we don't want to get too close. We want to keep that gravelly edge that they have in the game. Again, these roads are all going to come together, but I think that's the least of our worries right now. We kind of got the groundwork for that, so. Alright, let's delete this here. I think we're going to keep some of that back there, because we're not going to be able to drive behind that. We're going to keep it. So let's do this really quick. Try to keep that texture out of the barn, just kind of filling in back here. We'll get some grass on that. Again, you want it close enough that it is going up to the side, but you don't want it to spill through in there, which hopefully it's not. It might be. Sometimes you get a little close, kind of hard to judge it. Kind of fill in with this heavier texture here, because I noticed a lot of that. We're actually going to have to fill in with grass over here. Alright, I think this area here is probably good for now. We are going to be putting... I think I'm going to put a house there. We'll just fill it with grass until we get to that area. And let's go in here. So yeah, we are going to put down... I think we're going to use a fuel tank. Where are we going to put a fuel tank at? Let's put the fuel tank here. Guess you'd put it that way. Put it over here a little bit. Put some grass growing up under that. Again, that does delete that texture, so I'd like to come back and fill that in just so it looks pretty good. And while we're over here, let's put a few trees coming up over the back of this. Probably look good from out front. Maybe put one over here. Make sure we don't accidentally sell that shed. Just filling in back here a little bit. Throw down some more bushes, kind of fill this in back here, a little bit of a wooded area. We're not going to be using that area, it's just going to be mainly for, going to be kind of just filled in there. I don't think anything, yeah, a little bit of grass is coming through there, that's not a big deal though. Let's add one more. Let's add some grass here in the front a little bit. Yeah, we'll have to come back through with the grass again. And maybe find a bush. Yeah, let's find something that could... That's actually a little too big. Maybe find a tree that will fit in there. Maybe something like that. Alright, so yeah, this building here now, this is a machinery barn, but we are going to do something different with this. We're going to go up here to sheds. I believe it's in silos, so this is a mod. We're going to go down through here. And this is the any shed object storage. So we are going to turn this normal shed into a bale storage. And there's two different sizes. This in here, that's a big one. We're going to go with this in here. So yeah, we're going to let it that the trigger is sitting out front. So this way you'd be able to actually come in with the bale collector and raise it vertically. So yeah, the storage might not quite go as deep. Let's look at this other one really quick. See, this in here is a little long because the pole's already outlined for it. But it is going to work. So let's line that up a little bit. Use this left side as a bale storage. And then in game, so that would be, the posts are pretty much the area that the bales are going to sit in. We're going to turn this grid and all this off. Alright, and yeah, we're going to hide the markers. So there it is. That's a bale storage now. So you can do an auto storage right in there and put your machines over here to the right. So we're going to keep that there, I think. That area is looking pretty decent too. Let's find a house really quick while we're up here. The old farmhouse, the old homestead. That is way too big. That's not going to fit. Little house there. Gotta find a house that's actually gonna fit up in this area. That might actually work. Let's look again. That's a smaller house. Just be a small house on the farm. Maybe we could put that there. Right with that big fuel tanker right in front of the house. Yeah, that doesn't make too much sense. Let's forget about that for now. We'll come back to that. So we got the 2 barns up here. We got everything pretty well looking good. Let's hop in the case really quick. Let's take the case up here, park it in that barn. Just to kind of give you guys a look here. Yeah, this would be the combine here. This would go right in here. We'll just put it right there. Yeah, perfect. That looks good there. And let's see what else we got here. Go park this over in front of the slurry pit. Just, again, to give a little bit of character to the map as we're building it, bring it to life a little bit. So, yeah, that would be right there. And let's see what we got next. So we got 2 buildings here. We are going to have to start working on this area. We are going to put some silos over here. That is why I already have them. So let's start figuring out this silo area. Get into the silos here once. Let's see what kind we want to use. I believe these are the Meridian or the big boy there. Okay, yeah, that's going to start giving us a problem there. Let's see here. Alright. How do we want to sit these back a little bit? Because we are going to have that auger there, so you are going to need room. Maybe one there. Alright, now this ground is definitely, let's take a look at this. I can already see this ground is not level. Let's get a texture here. So we kind of expose this. Yeah, you can see right around these they're not. So we're actually gonna delete them and smooth this all out. Clean this field away. We want to preserve this field though. Again, we don't want to get rid of this entire field, so just want to clean this area up here a little bit. Okay, so now we are going to delete these, and then we're going to... This is what I actually have to do on most maps, because most maps ain't as flat, or the areas where I'm building ain't as flat as this here, so this is actually pretty normal, but we have not done it yet in this episode here, so let's see. Go Go into sculpting. We're going to have to start leveling this out. Which was the highest one? So it looks like up here. Sometimes you get lucky and this ain't too bad. Sometimes this can get ugly. I want to give these all level area to sit on. Have to slope that down then. Just build that up enough that we can get these silos placed down with them out messing with any of the ground, and then we can kind of taper all the land around it. I think that's probably enough. I don't want to go too crazy because we are going to have to slope that down. So let's get these silos placed again if I can find them. Alright, yeah, that's good. That's not going to mess with the ground at all there. I'd actually like them to sit back a little bit further. We're going to have to go back further with this. Gonna have to make this area a little bit bigger just because the length of that auger, you're gonna need enough room to kind of mess around with that. Trying to preserve this field. This area keeps getting bigger though. Maybe if we can sit these silos right up against the back of that. Might work out here. I think if we can get them back that far, we'll be in good shape. Just... that did seem to... might be able to fix that in the back. Did seem to be a little bit of a problem there, though. Take this tractor over there really quick. I give a little first-person drive through here, actually kind of see what things are looking like right now. There is the area for the pigs, and then you can see up top there. That is the barn area up there. Alright, let's go take a look at these silos, make sure nothing crazy happened out back here with the... Everything's pretty flat there. I think this silo on the end, it did a little something. Actually looks pretty good. That's not bad. We'll take that. Now we gotta fix this area because it is kind of messed up a little bit. Go into the soften tool. We are going to need to taper that down as this is where we're going to be driving in. We don't want to pull that down too much because that will end up messing with the silos. But yeah, we don't really need a real far drop off here. We're just going to do a little grass hill in the back of these. So we don't need anything too extreme for the way that's being tapered off. Fix that up once. Alright. Yeah, I think we got that pretty well. At least everything adjusted there. Get some gravel down, then we'll take a little bit of a ride in with the tractor to make sure there ain't anything crazy with the way that is kind of tapered in. Yeah, let's hop in the tractor here really quick. Just make sure when you're coming in there ain't no crazy drop off or anything like that. The tractor would kind of bounce around a little bit if this was uneven. Looks pretty smooth. Let's see about coming in from where the road would be. Yeah, it looks pretty good, so shouldn't have any issues with bringing a truck in here or anything. Alright, now time to dress this up a little bit. We do want to keep this field, as I said earlier, we're going to run a fence down here, I think. Once we get this straightened out. Before we go any further, I do want to add some silage here. So let's see what we can find in the bunkers. That looks like a pretty big one. This one here might actually look pretty cool. That might be a little too big too. Let's hoping that'd be smaller than that. Put a little silage area here. I have to check on that. That might not be, that's not totally straight either. So let's delete that. And then we're going to go in and flatten that area out now too. Just enough that we can get this laid down, then we will slope the sides. We don't want to get over too far and mess with that road at all. We don't want to take too much of this field either. That's enough there. We're going to have to blend all this together. Slope this end down. I'm not sure why it continues to do that. That has been a problem though I've always had with this. Once you use that dirty details in the game, it seems to really give you an issue. Alright, let's take a quick look at this. Make sure to, at least the silage pit's flat to the ground, and then we'll Mess with the ground around it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's see here once. Just a little bit. You don't want it to pull in too far that it starts messing with the silage pit itself. So you just want to give a little bit there to kind of take that hard edge off the outside. But yeah, having a little bump there going into the silage pit ain't gonna hurt any. Clean this up a little bit. It's a little bit smoother. And we will take a drive in them with the Massey Ferguson. So it is kind of a good idea to always have a tractor there. Let's get rid of some of this texture. Yeah, it's kind of a good idea to always have a tractor there for you that you can come in and let's round this field off here a bit. So you can come in and make sure that everything you are flattening out is going to work in game. So yeah, if you drive a tractor across that, you're kind of going to get an idea if there's something really crazy with it or not. And I do like getting rid of this because then you can kind of see the ground formation just a little bit better. Make sure there ain't any really big dips or anything like that. So we'll expose all this and then take a ride here quick if we can find the Massey. And what I do is I just drive in like this, make sure the tractor doesn't do anything like out of the ordinary. Yeah, it looks alright. A little bit of a bump, but that's perfectly fine. Same with going back out to that road. It's a nice smooth transition. Up in here is going to be grass, so it ain't too big of a deal, but I do like to make sure that everything is set up good. Yeah, nice transition down into there. Okay, hop out of the tractor so it ain't making a lot of ruckus there for us. Alright, so now inside the silage pit, I like to take a texture here. Make that almost like a concrete asphalt layer on the bottom. And yeah, that's going to spill out the sides. That's fine. We're going to clean that up then with the other textures that we're going to use. Come back through here. Again, the grass doesn't have to be right up to the edge because you could always kind of think that the foundation of this slurry pit would go out underneath. Or not the slurry pit, but the silage bunker would go out a little underneath. You'd kind of pour the slab there and then put these down. So that's perfectly fine if the grass doesn't go right up to the edge. We're going to make it looking like it's growing up to the edge, though. So we're going to fix that. And again, just as the stone would kind of get carried into the pit a little bit over time with the tractors and everything kind of moving around. Alright, I think we're going to need to fill in a little bit of grass here. And a little bit of that might spill in there, but we got a lot of grass we got to fill in along these silos, get this whole area kind of done here. Round that off just a little bit. Gonna have to put down a texture because you can still see that dirt. It's something you're gonna have to watch for sometimes instead of just throwing down the actual grass texture, because I noticed it doesn't look too bad now, but when you get into the winter months and the grass is dead, you're gonna see nothing but dirt there pretty much. So that's kind of something just to look out for. Get some bushes thrown down here. Again, I don't put too much thought into the way I throw these around. I just think the more of these, the better. Kind of make them look staggered a little bit realistically. Alright, yeah, I think that's enough of that. Let's get some grass now to cover that back in. Yeah, it's a little detail, but as I said, I do always go back through and do this. Probably unnecessary, some people may think, but I just can't let that go. Alright, let's get a fence here. Get an old style fence here. If I can find one. Lay a little bit of a fence up around here to border this. And you can make the bushes kind of go right through them sometimes too. Not sure what that's actually colliding with. That must be collide. Yeah, that's why, because they count that as trees. I probably should have did the fence first. I forgot. Yeah, that one bush, even though it looks like a bush, it technically is a tree, so. Alright, nice little fence there to separate that field. So yeah, we did save that field, which I think is going to look pretty good. Now let's add a few trees here. And we're going to get that auger set up. Get a few trees in here somewhere. Looks good there. And why not? Throw one there. Throw one on the corner here. And yeah, there's something else I want to go in here and get. Throw down that big boy right there. Throw one in there. Not sure we need any out there. Let's get back to that bigger size. Yeah, maybe one more there to kind of break things up a little bit. I think when you go back in here, yeah, first person, everything's looking pretty decent. This is a pretty cool feature here, too. You can actually open the top of that silo. I love that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we got the silage bunker here. Let's, while we're down here, let's go throw some lights. Or do you want to save that for the end? Actually, you know what? I just seen something here. We'll go into others. Actually, decorations. See if I can find this really quick. I like to put these near the silage bunkers, if I can find them. Just for a little realism. Actually, while we have that slurry mixer out right now, let's throw that down over here. Let's continue looking here. I know there's pallets in here somewhere. I wonder if I missed them. Or are they in other? They could be in other. Yeah, these pallets right here. Again, we gotta go outside of there, but yeah. I just like to throw these here as if when you do throw the tarp down, these would be weights for the tarp, so I like to throw a pallet of them down. One or two pallets, something like that, just kind of for the look of it, and then again, after I do place that, I should probably wait to use that dirty details till the end. I do like to come back in with the grass, if need be there. And while we're here, let's throw a dirt texture here. Some dirt there coming in. Alright, let's go take a look at this auger. Is this a drivable one, or do you gotta... No, this has a motor on it. Okay. Let's get this in place really quick. If I can. This thing likes to... not maneuver very well, so... yeah, you can see it's kind of glitching right now. To slowly maneuver this into position here. Alright, let's go open this really quick. Actually, got to look at that up there to see how it... where is this? And then we'll hop back in this quick, and this should be positioned pretty well. So yeah, it's just a nice little feature I think it adds there. We'll swing out the side. Back this up a little bit. Put it down a little bit. These things do tend to move on their own a lot, so we're just kind of going to let that there. We do got a little bit more landscaping here really quick. Make a little area here, a little bit, break that up. Maybe a little bit of an area. What is that? Yeah, we're going to use, because we are going to be using this. think now's a good time to maybe extend this down here far enough, finish this road out. We do want mostly gravel. We'll take care of the rest of that. Just this part here I want to blend it in. So we do want to run this right out to the road as far as we can. And kind of make like a little cut-in area here where the trucks would come in. And another one up here where you'd kind of come out, and also with the tractors for the silage pit, so that might be good enough there. Add some grass here to the front, kind of dress it up a little bit. I don't think we want to add any trees that are front of that. That could get in the way of the job there when we are using the silos. Put a little bit of grass down here. I think that's shaped up pretty good. I'm trying to see if I missed anything with this area. Looks pretty good. So we got a lot set in place here. That is kind of the view of the farm right now. Let's I wonder if we need a tree or something here. A couple bushes going up through here maybe. Thinking if we need a tree on that hill or something like that. Don't want to take away from that view, but I think we need, yeah, let's put something there. Maybe this. That might work right there. Let's see how that is. That kind of takes away from that view. That is a tree, so we're kind of stuck with that for right now, but... Alright, so now we do have a pig farm, so we are going to need somewhere to store the root crop enclosures, so yeah, I think we're going to put that right in here. Let's see if we can find a good building here first. Silos. What we got here. So you have the kind of couple different ones here. You got potato. We're going to go with the sugar beet one since it's empty. It kind of looks pretty cool. I'll put that right. I think we're going to move that right about in this area. And we want another building down here. Let's see if we can find a cool looking building here. That ain't too big. That building's kind of a little bit big. Let's see if there's something else here. That's not going to work there. Let's find another building. Just something we could maybe store a few tractors in. How's that look? No, that's not going to work either. A little too big also, yeah. A little too small. Not. Wonder if this will work. Can you customize this? Yeah, you can customize the color of this. Not sure I'm a big fan of that color. I don't want to do red again. We did a lot of red. Let's look at this building one more time. Let's try a different building. That might not. Here's another building that's in that pack. That could work. That might actually look. If we could find the right color. Let's look at red and see how it's gonna look. What were we using? Like the case red? Yeah. I guess we are gonna go with everything red on this map. That just looks good though. Alright, let's put that pretty close there, not too far away. Let's go in game and see how that looks really quick. Let's take the tractor over. We might end up moving that building. Let's go over and see exactly how that sets. Might want to move them a little closer together too. I do kind of like the overhang on that building. That's what I like about that. And this is a smaller farm, so we're not going to need a huge area for equipment. That could definitely fit in a couple cultivators and stuff. So yeah, we are going to have to smooth this out. This needs to be closer together for my idea here. I think. Let me think about this. That just looks a little too... Actually, you know what? That might not be bad. Let's delete these. Hopefully I can find this shed again. And we're going to have to level out this area. Leveling it out. Here we go. Actually, we might want to level it from this side here. This looks like the high side. We're going to make this higher on the lower end. Give enough extra room that if we want, we can drive around the building, maybe make something there. Don't want to get too close again to the road. You don't want to deform the road. You want to use the slope. So I'm going to try not to do that. We'll see here. Because once you start pulling that road down or up, forget about it. It's really hard to fix the roads. Even when they are just a road like that on the farm, it's really hard to get them back without, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, but it gets really tough then to ever really fix that. So yeah, we are coming up there a little bit. I think what we're going to have to do is this potato, or the beet enclosures are going to have to sit back a little bit further, because you see how high this gets towards the low end, so we're going to need that back further so we can slope this beginning part here. Come out around here. Again, try to get as close as I can without really messing that up. I think, let's see where we're at here. I feel like we're gonna have to go back a little bit more with for the barn for the beets. Alright, let's see what we got here. Find these silos again. Be nice if you could be able to like save the stuff you're using in kind of just one category instead of that to search through everything. I wonder if you can do that. Kind of just load it in the one single. Yeah, so that can sit back about there. You can get a road around the back. Should probably go up a little closer. I think about there. Let's see what happens here. Let's find this other building. There it is. And yeah, are we settling on it? Man, I like this color blue. Kind of looks ridiculous there. What's yellow look like? Some of these colors, like, so that color kind of looks ridiculous in construction. Let's place this down just so we can see what it looks like. Yeah, it actually looks ridiculous there too. I thought, man, it might look a little bit better. Let's sell that again. Go back to the shed. We've been going with the case red. Yeah, let's do that again. And I think maybe let's offset this. Move the barn up a little bit to kind of give this a different look. I guess that's the barn we're going to go with. Let me see if there's anything else down towards the bottom here. I kind of like that shed, but at the same time, I think we could... We do got our straw up here, so we are using this for our straw and our bales. Down here, what are... That is a very small shed. Let's see if we can find something. Let's go back through here quick. Barn would look kind of out of place there. That's too big. I do like this building, but it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the farm. Yeah, and there again, that doesn't really fit into this setting. I love this barn, but it's actually a little too small for what I want to do there. How about this one? No, there is an old style barn. Where is it? Well, we may just go with that. Guess that don't look too bad. We can work around things here, get everything fixed up. The first thing we're going to need to do now is soften the edges here. I'm going to make this... Now you can drive in there. And we are going to get the tractor in here in a second to make sure that is smooth, so when you're driving in, it's a pretty nice transition. Don't want to bring this in too far. Just want to kind of just round this out a little bit. It's just more of a drop off than anything. It ain't really going to be like some kind of steep embankment or anything like that. We're just kind of rounding it off. We're going to put some trees and stuff back there, I think. Let's hop in the tractor quick, make sure that is going to work. Pretty smooth driving in there. Pretty smooth driving out. I think that's going to work. Alright, let's get a texture for the ground. Start straightening this out. Guess we can make it that, yeah, we'll make it that you can drive around the back side of both of these. Make this a little bit more narrow over here. Yeah, I think we're going to have to actually cut this field off here too. Not going to be able to get any kind of harvester in there, so might as well just round this off. Right about there. Try not to mess up the road we made earlier. And yeah, bring the grass down a little bit. Like I said, this doesn't need to be a huge way to get through here. We ain't going to have much out back to do, so kind of make it grown in. Let's go back to the other texture. I don't think we need that much grass there. Let a little bit. That's actually plenty. Let's go back to the grass texture. That's too much, actually. We're getting there. Maybe round this off here once. Just enough room that we can put some grass and maybe a fence in between this field. Give it a little bit of a buffer in there. Yeah, I think that's enough there. Just laying the groundwork, get a little bit of paint down there. Just painting it up. And we'll get some grass in there. Again, you want to make it, I like making the farms that, yeah, you are doing upkeep on them, but at the same time, I mean, you got to make them look realistic and throw some weeds down. Can't have everything perfectly neat. Just adds to it, in my opinion. Might not be the way maybe you'd keep your own farm, maybe realistically, but, you know, I would like to think I would be weed whacking this and pulling these weeds out of the stone if it was a real farm, but at the same time, I just think in-game it adds that extra level of authenticity to really draw you into the game. Gives you something to look at. It's all about the presentation. Throw a little bit down there. Oh, I went right into that road. I'll have to find that dirt paint. Try to fix that up a little bit. That looks better. And let's fill the rest of this in with grass and then see where we're at. Hope you guys have enjoyed this build here. I'm slowly but steady, we're getting there. Just a small pig farm build, nothing crazy. It does take up some time though. It does take a little while to get it done. Yeah, so we got the layout there. Looks pretty decent. Let's throw some bushes down. Let's get them. Again, some people might think it's overkill with the bushes, but for me personally, I absolutely love them in the game. We will go back to first person here in a second. I just think when you really step back and look at it, yeah, I think it does something. I think it just gives that extra depth level instead of just seeing all grass there. We're going to add some trees, and let's actually this time do the fence first, since we did run into some problems last time. Let's pull up a fence. Might use the same kind we just did to kind of match it. That's an older looking fence. Where is the one I was using? Yeah, I like this one right here. Kind of looks just like... Give kind of a curve in here. Yeah, and it can run right through the bush. There's nothing wrong with that. Realistically, bushes and stuff will grow right through that, so... Give a little bit of a room in between the field there, so you do get a tractor or a harvester in there. Have some room to operate. You're not going to be right up against it. And I think that should finish it off. Pretty decent. Just a fence there to kind of border this area a little bit away from that field. And yeah, we're going to need some trees. Let's do some trees here. Now, I love putting these trees like behind or beside because... Let's go out front. Just seeing like the tree come up over the back again. That's just like a level of... Like a little bit of depth it adds there. I think that goes a long way. Let's see here. Maybe a little tree. Let's place some little trees first. These are actually the cherry trees. So yeah, I do use them as bushes. They look like they could be a bush, so I usually add them into the little part there. Throw some in the fence. Kind of growing into the fence. Alright, let's find another tree. Maybe a tree right here on the corner. Yeah, I like that version of it. Now we'll throw another one right here. And maybe a smaller version of it there. Yeah, right like that. Let's find something else. Where is the... So I'm going to go back in trees again. This is a tree, but it looks like a bush to me. So I use these really as bushes. And they're absolutely huge. Yeah, they are trees. I don't know why I always thought they were bushes, but yeah. Let's throw one of these. Little character there. Maybe something. What's the smaller size? Wow, they get huge. Maybe throw one right near this tree. Kind of give it a little something there to hold on to, maybe. Yeah, maybe something right there. Let's see how that looks. Maybe one too many trees here, but yeah, I kind of stuck with that now. That's one thing. You should be able to delete these trees. I don't know why you just can't delete trees. That is something I think the game really needs to... Even the ones that are already pre-placed when you go into the farm, that's... Let's put some kind of tank in here. Let's see what kind of container we got. There's actually... Yes, you should be able to customize that, because that's huge. Actually, you know what? We can put... I actually did want to use this. It kind of looks out of place here, but I've seen this on Mod Hub, and it just looks like an old diesel kind of tanker sitting there. It might not be the place for it right there, but that is... I could definitely find a place on one of the farms for this. I think that'd be a really cool addition. Maybe out back. I don't know if it has a place on this farm right now, but yeah, fuel tanker mod. That's really cool looking. Has all kind of stuff laying around on it. That's just a really cool one. If you guys see that, probably use that on your farm somewhere. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to be able to use that right now. This doesn't really fit in. That's one to keep in mind. Let's find a tanker. Where's an old fuel tanker here? Yeah, just a old kind of unbranded one. We're just gonna... Let's change... Oh, you can't change the color on this one. Can't change the color on that one either. Unfortunately, the ones you can change are these, and... kind of look ridiculous. I do like that one. Even though it does have the lizard branding on it, I think we might go with the white. You can change the style, new, old. I like the old one. I'm just going to throw the white one in there. And that's okay. There was a little bit of gravel underneath it. That doesn't look bad. So yeah, we got the farm pretty well laid out. I think it's time to start decorating here. Start throwing down some decorations and some lighting. So let's start with the lighting because I can usually get through the lighting pretty quick. And I usually use, for the most part, this light that I'm going to find right here is the one I really like. It's kind of like an old school light. I use it all around the farm. So let's, yeah. Let's imagine that there would be one right here for coming out the store. There'd definitely be one here for if you're doing the root crops. Maybe put two there. I don't know if that's necessary. Let's put one there and then put one out back. That's fine with this area. You really don't need any other lighting around there. I don't think it would really be necessary. Let's put some over here. You'd want some by the silage bunker, and I have learned my lesson. I used to make them in really close like this, and yeah, when you're compacting silage, you will run into that. So keep them back just a little bit. And I'm going to put one here at the end. Maybe another one on this side, offset it. And the stone, that's really all you need. I mean, when you think about it. I'm going to put a few over here, though, for this area. I don't like to go too crazy with these, but I think that would be enough there, because we don't want any out here. Definitely be in the way of the auger. That area's taken. That's pretty good. I don't want any here because I feel like it's going to get in the way of the view of things, but we can put one right here because this is where you'd be hooking up the slurry, so you'd want a little bit of light there if you're doing that at night. Maybe put one on the edge here. Put one here. I don't think we're going to need any out through there. It's just kind of going to be the way it is. Let's go up to the barn. You'd want one here. Maybe one out back for that door. Might just put it facing that way. And possibly one right here to light up this area. One right here for that door. This is just kind of the way I do the lights. I don't like to overdo it. We'd need one here for the fuel tanker. When you're fueling up at night, would it be right there? Yeah, maybe put it overhanging it. Usually don't do that. I usually put one over here or something, but I think this might be a good idea. Yeah, that could be decent. What did I forget? Got them all over here at the barn. Maybe put one right there. Like that's actually wrapped around it. That'd be pretty cool. Did that not fit in there? Yeah, that kind of creates the illusion. No, we'll let it go. When you're looking at it in first person, you probably won't be able to see that, so. Let's see this. I think we're pretty good on the lighting. Let's do some decorations here. Let's start. What decorations would we put over here? Maybe some junk laying around? Let's go into others. I did see something earlier I wanted to use. Forget if it was in others, though. We do still got some painting yet. We do got actually a lot of painting to go out through here. I don't know if that's necessary to do that right now. Let's do the decoration first, and then we'll fill in that gravel at some other point. Yeah, let's see if we can find it. It must be in decorations then. Let's go over here. Yeah, we'll put a few barrels out back here. Just a little something here. Rotate that so it ain't perfect. Maybe have them stacked like that. Not too bad. And then, yeah, let's get a dumpster. This place looks like it could use a dumpster. The dumpster wouldn't be under there, though, because the garbage truck would have to probably wheel that out. It wouldn't be out back either. There ain't a whole lot of room. Oh, let's let it like this. Be nice if you could change the color of that. That looks pretty decent there. Where is that? There was one in here. It was barrels with... Oh, yeah, we do want to use this. As if you might need to hand cart over here for some reason. Let's see if we can find this. Maybe a dumpster out back? No, I don't know if we need that, do we? No, we don't need that there. I know it must be in this one. I passed by it earlier. There it is. I like this one here. Maybe set that right there. It's a pretty good... What I would call from back in the day, I know these are, I don't know what they call these anymore, but back in the day when I used to mess around making maps for like Counter-Strike and stuff like that, they called that prefabs. Not sure what they call it now, but that was the good old days. Yeah, that looks pretty good. You don't need too much there. I think, where was that? There was something I think would be pretty decent. Yeah, these. Just set that there. A little bit of character out back. Probably pretty good on that, though. I don't know if this area needs too much more than that, really. Let's hop in the tractor and give a drive around here. I always judge it by the in-cab. I mean, things just look different out of it. I mean, it looks good here. But I really like to go in-cab here, first person, and the game just always looks better. Things look really good out back here. Maybe something in there. Maybe another little tree or something. Let me look at that again. That don't look too bad. You could always add something in there, but yeah, we got a tree there. I think that's okay. Kind of look over here and see the pig area. And we already did decorate this area with the bags there. I think that looks pretty good. That looks really good. I'm pretty happy with that. Not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying that in first person, that looks really good. Look at that pig. Look how fast he is. He's cruising. Yeah, they're fast. That's funny. Alright, let's get back in the tractor. As I said, we do got... Let's go over here really quick. Take a look at the silos. Let's actually hook this one up and get it over here. Let's see if I can turn this around. Just get this set in position so you guys can kind of see what we would do with it. Obviously this in here is to unload, so yeah, I don't know. I would imagine maybe this sitting right about here when it's not in use. Maybe back it in here a little bit. If it's not being used, maybe just kind of sitting there. Yeah, that's alright. So yeah, the silo area looks pretty good. Let's get out here. Area over there looks pretty decent. I don't think we're missing anything over there. Could probably always put a little bit more. Sometimes I don't like to overdo it, but could probably do something over there. Let's get back in here, and I think we can actually knock this texture out really quick. Let's get into paint. Doesn't have to be perfect. It can always be a little bit of gravel on the side. That's perfectly fine. Still realistic. Not everything would be exactly perfect up through there. Let that dirt path there. That covered in. Let's connect this road. Try to keep the contour of it. We don't want to ruin that. This is just a really good spot to build a farm on Riverbend because you already got this natural rock ledge there, which I just think looks really good. So this is where we are in the build right now. Just finishing up with a few textures here. And then we're going to give a little bit of a drive through here, kind of just look at the whole thing as a whole. We do need to add a house. I'm probably going to put a house right here. Let's do this texture first. I'm going to think about that for a second. Might have to move that gas pump. I think that gas pump being in front of where the house would be kind of, that just would be kind of funny. I wouldn't care, but the wife probably wouldn't like that view. I got to go with the smaller one here. Just a little path in here leading in to the slurry pit. I think we got all our lights pretty well placed. I think what we're going to do too is we're going to fast forward at the end of this, we're going to crank up the time so we can really look at how this map looks at night. So once I'm done here, we're going to put a house. We're almost done. We're getting close. We are going to add an entrance to this. Let's do an entrance. There's some tire marks before I turned off crop destruction. I'm going to kind of let that dirt there. It looks pretty good. Let's get the house down. Let's make sure we got all the gravel. I think we did. We're missing something out back here. Something. Let's go in quick to the silos. We do need a seed silo. I wonder if that's in here or not. That might be in containers, actually. Yeah, believe it or not, it's in containers. Let's throw that right here. Done. And all right, let's get a farmhouse. I think we're gonna have to move this pump. Where could we move that to? Don't want to move it over here. We don't want to ruin that view out. We could move it down here. Then, yeah, let's delete that there. Let's go back in here once. The fuel container should be up here somewhere. Just as small as that house is going to be, it's kind of going to be strange putting it right there. Maybe we need something down here. That's not a very big path, so you're not going to be able to get the combine behind there to fill that up. It needs to be somewhere, probably here, but we already kind of committed with them trees. You could put it here again. I don't know if I want to put it there because that would ruin the view looking down. We need to put this gas pump somewhere. I probably should have let it where it was. Wouldn't make sense. We do have one down there just for looks more than anything. This one here is more for really what we're actually going to use on the farm. Maybe back here? I don't know. That doesn't really feel right back there. Let's put the house down first and see what happens here. Let's see what kind of farmhouse we can find. I think earlier we looked at this little one. You're kind of living simple in this farm here. Little satellite dish there, a ladder to get on the roof. Kind of funny looking at that. Oh, there's different designs for this. Looks like design 1. Let's see. Okay. What was the... Oh. Little bow window there. Getting fancy there. Look at that. Yeah. Design 3, porch. Wow. Design 1, that's simple. Design 2, you're going big with the window feature, and then you're getting a full... Which one do we like? That there is probably the best one. Do like that, though. Alright, let's place the house. We could actually play this farm as if there's not a house on this farm. Maybe we should do that. So yeah, let's play this farm as if you would have to drive from your actual house to get out here. So we're gonna fill this stuff in. We're just gonna make some trees in there. Let's throw some more in here. Dress it up a little bit. Throw down some bushes. We are gonna come down here and make an entrance. So yeah, let's put this fuel tank back on. Fuel container. Put it right back where it was. Yeah, that is the best place for it. Let's get a light for that. That really is the best place, I think, overall to put that. We're going to put this light right above it. Let's throw a few trees in to kind of close that area up. And then we're going to go up and we're going to make a gated entrance, or we're at least going to attempt to. Where's a nice tree here? Throw some bushes down. Where is this? Is that a tree? Yeah. Put this in here to really break things up, kind of. Take away from the... Maybe hide the actual tree stump there, like the trunk. Kind of break it up a little bit. Throw a random one in there. Some weeds up against the garage. Again, we do got a bale storage right there. We did put a nice little bale storage in there. And actually, let's just go right up to the front here. Alright, let's see if we can get a gate. Make an entrance, because the other side of the entrance is over here. We're not going to put a gated entrance there. We're going to put one here. Let's see how it turns out. Let's find some fences. How are we going to do this? We're going to use that fence? No, I don't think so. Does this fence have... That doesn't have any segments to it. So you can't use a... Like one where we can kind of match. Let's see what we got here. What's this in here? That could work. Would like a little bit smaller of a gate. Kind of have it on an angle. It might work like that. That'd probably be more like that, coming in straight. That's weird how that doesn't... Not sure why that doesn't add a post into that gate. I don't like the looks of that. Let's delete that. Maybe use the fence and put another like old style. It's not letting me get close there. It's really like glitchy that close. I'm not sure if that's... There it works. That's not a bad fence. Come on, with that land not owned by you. What is that about? We're just gonna have to end that there. If I get close enough here, this might actually look... Yeah, gap, I do not like that. You can't. I feel like it's not always that glitchy. Like right now, it's not giving you. Maybe I don't have the toggle mode on. Let's go back. Is that what it is? No, it's really just being really glitchy like that. It's going to be hard for me to look past that because them hinges are supposed to look like they're connected there. Oh, this actually. Wait a second here. Enter demolition. This fence actually has a fence gate to it. Yeah, that might be what we're going to have to do. That actually works really nice. Again, though, it's really twitchy with when you're trying to put that down. Now, what is going on here? Is that a... Why that fence turned that color now? Oh, I'm absolutely lost of what's going on here. Now it's back to that color. Huh. I have no idea what was going on there. And we'll put that. Try to put a fence here. It's not going to line up though. I guess we could just let that open. Yeah, we could just let that open, I guess. Again, it is switched. Okay, there's the color. And yeah, we're just going to run this down here and then give it a little bit of a... Maybe it can actually go up here. I guess we're going to run this fence all the way around. But yeah, we're not going to use the gate because the gate is going to give us problems. And we're just going to end this. And that there, okay. Alright, let's get in here. We're going to use some rocks to dress this up. That did take a little bit longer than I expected it would. Decoration. Find some rocks, see if I can do this justice. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do this. Okay, we're going to try to keep this somewhat the same on each side. Might have to go with more on that side for some reason. Alright. Sometimes you really just got to keep going with this. It doesn't look like much until you get to the end. Who knows, this could be a total fail. I don't know. We're going to see. But yeah, sometimes you got to have patience with this. That rock is absolutely huge. And we might not just, let's drive the tractor out there once, because we're going to have to see this in first person to see what we're really looking at. Let's take a ride behind the barn here. Take a little cruise around the farm as we are really close to being done here. Again, we're not going to put a house on the farm. I think we're just going to let it as it is. And play it as if you were probably just living down the road somewhere and you had a drive down to your farm. So yeah, the house is not going to stay on the farm. Let's get down here and see what this looks like in first person. Sometimes these are a hit, sometimes they're a miss. And that swings. Oh, there we go. Rocks don't look too bad. We're just kind of trying to dress it up a little bit, give it a little something as an entrance. I'd like another layer or so to that. Let's... I think we're actually going to need that. Let's use that while we're... I noticed behind this barn was lacking a little bit, in my opinion. Maybe put something down here. Get back to this really quick. Alright. Let's see what we can find. I'm looking for something here. I do want to put for the entrance up there, decoration. Come on, where are ya? Do it with a tire. Again, it'd be really nice to save the stuff that you want to use in one category. That would be a lot simpler to get to that. Is it not in decoration? Must be in others. Excuse me while I scroll through this for a little while. It does seem like, yeah, it gotta be in decorations. I must have missed it. I'm gonna go slow and I'm gonna try to get it this time. Oh, there it is. Yeah. No, don't want to do that. We are getting closer here. Let's get, if I can find this here. Decorations. Yeah. I could be scrolling right by the stuff that I want. My eyes ain't as good as I thought they were. Yeah, we're gonna put the big guy right there. So that's a little bit more decent of an entrance. Not bad. I would have liked to do a little bit more with the rocks, but I think that kind of gives the illusion of kind of what I'm trying to do. All right, let's give an overhead quick. We got the entrance, we got the flag, got everything up here. Let's get in this tractor once and pull it up so that barn has something sitting up there. This is the 50 series. Gotta love that. Get in the cab of it. Yeah, I love this tractor. Just have it sitting out of the barn here to give it a look. Alright, let's get back into Massey and let's go into the construction, see if there's anything else we need to do here. I mean, I think for the most part we're pretty good. There is some items I would probably, I don't know, that's pretty good back there. That ain't bad. And that ain't bad at all. I don't want to put anything here. I don't want to mess up that ridge. That looks really good there. We got the combine. I don't know if we're missing anything. That's pretty good. We got the root crop enclosure there is for the sugar beets. And now we're ready to do a little drive around the farm. I think we're going to do one in the daylight. And then we're going to fast forward to night so we can see the lights. Let's get back to the Massey Ferguson here. And we're going to pull out once. Give a drive up the road here. Yeah, I think we're going to do this. That is kind of the look from the road there. Decent spread. Let's do it in first person here. Let's get the cruise control set so I can just... That entrance ain't too bad. Cleaned up a little bit. It's something. Got the old American flag there. And yeah, the rock work on this part of the map's really nice, so that is why I kind of decided to do this. Got the pigs down there. This is the machinery shed with the auto load there, the auto storage. So again, I'm going to hop out quick. I'm going to turn these icons back on, so if you guys are just joining us, you can turn pretty much any building into a bale storage, or I think maybe pallet you can do. I don't know if you can do both. You can definitely do bales though, so yeah. What you do when you lay it down, them 4 poles kind of just show you kind of the guidelines of where you're going to place it, and then, yeah, you can turn all of this off, so I usually do that once I place it. And you dump the bales right here, and they go right into storage, so pretty decent. We got that set up. Let's get back in the tractor. Got the old 50 series sitting there. Nice looking American barn here. The old 1688 there sitting. And we got a spot there for some seed, so you can fill up with some seed. And yeah, this building here, pretty much maybe put some equipment in it. It's a nice looking American barn. I love the look of it. So again, yeah, you can't use this silo, but man, does it really add something to the farm. Before we go down, let's take a look over the ridge. So yeah, we got the slurry pit down there. We got the pigsty with the fenceless pasture mod, and over there we do got the silos. Take another look at this barn here. Try to get some good looks at the top half of the farm. Yeah, pretty good scenery there. We got everything laid out. And we'll drive down, take a look at the silos. Kind of hit everything here, and then we are going to fast forward to nighttime and see how everything looks later in the day with the lights placed. We got the area here for the silos. Got 3 of them there, and we also got the silage pit. There's the pigs again. We're going to be taking a closer look at that in a minute. And we got kind of a building there for miscellaneous. Maybe put some cultivators in, maybe put a cultivator, maybe a few things like that. And that is the root crop storage. Zoom back here so you guys can see everything. And we'll go over and take a look at the pigs. Get back in first person here, really take it all in. So there are the pigs set up there to be fed. We did use the fenceless pasture mod again. You can feed them over there. And also the pigs inside the enclosure. As again, if you're just joining us, we would play this as if all the pigs are combined. So we did let all the gates open. Even though they're technically not combined with the pigs outside, you would kind of feel that they would roam in and out, and they would be attached to all the pigs outside here in the fenceless pasture mod. So yeah, that is the part there with the pigs. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty decent. Let's get hopping up on the fence here once. Take a look over there. Kind of bordered by some fields here. Got the silos. And up top we do got the old American barn and the machinery shed with the any bale storage, I believe it's called. There's the any object storage. Anyways, you can make a bale storage out of it. take a ride around here. Take a look at the slurry pit and everything here really quick. So yeah, we do got the slurry pit set up here. And it's right here. So yeah, we do got the slurry capabilities on the pigsty. And again, that is how it's set up. I would like a little bit of straw down there. That would look pretty good right now, but this is how we got it set up. So we will be augering some feed in there for them. Able to pull the tractors right into the pasture to load up. And that is a pretty good look at things here. So let's take a quick overhead of everything in construction mode without losing the quality. But yeah, it's the entranceway. And you'd come up top to the machinery shed, the old American barn. We do got the storage right there for hay. And then we got the pigsty with the slurry pit. Got a building here. We also got the root crops. And then we got the silos and the silage. So let's fast forward this to nighttime. I think to do that, we may have to head... We're going to have to get a game save here quick. I don't want to forget to save the game. But yeah, we're probably going to have to head back to the original farm, wherever that is. I think there's a house there. Since we don't own a house... Let's try to figure out where we're going here really quick. Alright, let's fast forward till... How about... Yeah, let's go right to the middle of the night. And then we'll head back over to the field. Head back over to the farm there and see what it looks like at nighttime. So, let's get out here. And yeah, that is the light there for the slurry pit. So let's get back in the tractor. That's a pretty good view of everything. Let's get this closed up before the pigs start roaming out. And we'll take a drive around here once. Might need to do it with the lights off. Maybe just the front headlights. Alright, let's take a ride up around here. Kind of start over again. Forgot that must be a street light down there. Yeah, I didn't put lights at the entrance. I should have done that. But let's hop out. So yeah, turn the lights off. I was just wondering how this would turn out, kind of putting that overhanging the sign. I actually like that. I think that looks good. Usually I'd put it over here, but that looks pretty decent. I think maybe we'll just walk around here and kind of look at everything. Maybe use a light or two here. I think you can turn on the shed lights. No, this has no... No, that does. It has lights. Where is the trigger for this? I don't see any... You might have to do it from the other side of the building. It's kind of strange. And there's the old American barn there, kind of lit up. Got the old combine sitting there. That's a really good look at the combine right now. I love how the shadows are on that. That's like a screenshot and a half there. I should actually go in here and turn off the triggers. Yeah, that's a screenshot if I've ever seen one. I think I'm going to have to get one of them. That might be a really good picture. Got it. Take another one there. Probably some really good looks down over the farm here. Let's go around the back of this once. And you can open up this door. That is why I put a light back here. It's a little small kind of opening there, probably to bring some hay in. I love how this barn's wore. That's really cool that they did that texture there where you kind of were opening the door and grabbing it over the years. That's kind of tore up and the paint's kind of chipped off. It's a really nice addition. There's a kind of a look at the whole top part of it. And we'll head over. Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave the tractor behind there as we got to look from behind. A couple lights there set up. And then some of the lights from inside the pigsty. Let's go over here and check out the silos quick. The sky looks really good here at this time right now. Yeah, so we got just a few lights set up over here. I didn't want to put too many. I figured you didn't need too many over this way. But yeah, it does look pretty good there anyways. Let's go over here and check out the silage bunker. Lit up pretty good. Let's check on the pigs here once. And this is the other entrance here. You can come in, and this is where you would feed them right here at the troughs. I do have the triggers turned off right now. But yeah. Yeah, I think that's good enough lighting there. And again, over here, let's go in this building once. I think you can open this door. Yeah, pretty decent. Stuck in the door. Just a little garage there, maybe put some equipment in. And we got the enclosure there for the sugar beets. Should be a light out back. I've got a light there, so when we are filling up. And let's go over to the pigs and see how that looks at night. Like I said, I didn't put too many lights over there. I know it was going to have some light on the inside. I just didn't want to put the light post too much in the way of this. That looks pretty cool there. Really looks good how that mud kind of has that glare in the nighttime. We got the augers there to fill up the silos. Pigs in there chilling. Got the lights on them there, heating them up a little bit. And again, we're playing it as if though these pigs can also head in there as they choose. We did add defenseless pasture mod to this if you guys are just joining us. So that is how we kind of put this area out in front of it and connected it all. And you can drive right in here with the tractors, auger in some corn there, and fill them up. And we got the slurry pit over here lit up. So yeah, I think the lighting's pretty good. Let's go in the construction one last time. Let's kind of scroll around here. You guys can kind of see what we did here. Everything is looking pretty good. So I think we're pretty well done with this farm. I mean, aside from adding a house somewhere, which I don't think we're going to do, this is pretty much it. Just taking a look at nighttime here to see how everything would look. We did add a few things to the back of the pigsty. Go up on the ridge here and get another look. Kind of overlook the lower half of the farm here. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this build. I think we're pretty much completed with it. Not sure how long we've been even doing this. Almost 3 hours. Wow, I didn't know I was sitting here that long. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I don't know if you made it through most of it or if you just popped in now, but I hope you have enjoyed the build. I'm going to actually edit this video down into time-lapse. So definitely be easier for you to view in the future. I know 3 hours is pretty far to sit through, but doing it live, I definitely appreciate you guys that might have stopped by. Again, this was a small pig farm here on Riverbend Springs. So we did add some stuff there for the grain and the root crops over there. And yeah, a couple of the key things we did is with the pigsty, we did add defenseless pasture mod. Again, for those who might not have known, that is how we added that on to the... Because that pigsty is actually really cool looking. It doesn't have It doesn't have a pasture capability, so I think this is really the way to go with it. Kind of adds to it there. So yeah, you got the pigs in there. Putting the feed bag on there, hitting up the silos, and then you got the pigs out here. And we got the old American barn up top there. Kind of always dresses things up. See if we can get a look at that silo just coming up out of over top of everything. Yeah, that's a nice one. And the machinery shed is another key thing that I think I'd like to let you guys know about if you did not see it. Is right here. I do have the icons turned off, but there is a bale storage there, so you can store bales in there. You can dump them off and it'll just auto store them for you. And I use that with the store any object mod, I think it's called. You can look for it on Mod Hub. It's a really good one actually to use. You can kind of turn any building or any shed into a bale storage, which I just think is really nice to customize these buildings. So yeah, we'd be using this part here for the bales, and then this part over here to store some tractors and some implements and whatnot in there. So yeah, we got the old 50 series sitting there, taking a little rest. And that is pretty much this build. So yeah, almost 3 hours. I want to thank you guys again for joining me. If you are new to the channel, if you would consider subscribing, that would help us a lot. A like, a comment, definitely comments. I like to know what you guys are thinking out there. And once again, I hope this build might have inspired you a little bit. Maybe gave you some ideas of your own, and I hope you enjoyed it. So, next time, I'm hoping you guys might join me again. So once again, thanks, and I will see you guys next time on the farm.